This episode of the Buffalonian Podcast is brought to you by the Buffalonian division of the CastSource Podcast Network, a podcast network built by Buffalonians for Buffalonians, featuring the shows such as the Goatheads Podcast and the Buffalonian Podcast. We cover Bills, Sabres, and more, with more shows on the way very soon. And the CastSource Podcast Network covers many genres, including sports, business, mental health, marketing, and entertainment, featuring the podcast shows such as Sports Bring People Together, Limitless, Saviors of the Metaverse, and The Athletic Mindset. Learn more at castsource.com/podcast. And without further ado, let's get into the Bills, Sabres, hot takes, trivia, and more of the Buffalonian Podcast. All right, let's go. We are back with the Buffalonian Podcast. Dom, no free brand deals here. Come on, you got to tape up the Snapple logo. I'm Joe Callie, and as always, I'm joined by Dom Loss and Mike Marino. And fellas, it's a big Bills day today on this fine Wednesday. We're gonna run through some afterthoughts from the draft. The Bills also picked up some extras coming up these past couple of days. So let's roll right into it. The Murray and Ford have been signed, and let's just go over the draft results as a whole first before we really delve into that. I mean, we received an A-, I want to say, overall by PFF. Is A- correct, or am I thinking?
I think they might have gotten A.
An A?
Yeah. I mean, there's always kind of a wide range, but I think it's been consensus that it was an above average draft. I think the Athletic had them at 9, so like it's a fringe top 10 class.
Yeah. So I mean, drafting Kincaid first overall. I mean, let's unpack that, because the other night when we did the draft special, we didn't get Mike got upset, and I want to know I want to know more. So Mike, if you want to take us through your thoughts on the Bills picking Dalton Kincaid their first overall pick, what would you say?
No, I'll just say, like, at the time I was like, well, why would we take a tight end when we don't even use Dawson Knox? But like, now that it's like a week later, like, you know, I actually like it, because like they're comparing him to, like, he has some Kelsey in him, and we see like all these top teams, like, they have a good tight end that they're able to utilize. So like, I feel like now if we can incorporate like a 2 tight end set between him and Knox, like maybe one of them's in the slot or something, because we haven't had a real slot receiver since Beasley left the first time. It could actually be successful. I know Josh was, like, they said, blowing up Brandon Beane's phone on the draft night with excitement when they got Kincaid. So like, yeah, in the moment I was a little salty, I'll be honest, but like looking back, like it's actually a solid pick, and I'm actually like happy for it, because I think he can actually be incorporated well and be productive.
Yeah, I think for me it was more of tight end bias. Like, I was so like anti tight end throughout the entire process. Like, I was like, I don't think they should take one. It would really impact my like grading about it. But then I think doing more research on Kincaid, he's a tight end, but he has a lot of wide receiver traits, a lot of slot receiver traits. So I think that's interesting. And I also think like one of the biggest criticisms I had was how are they going to utilize him? But I gotta be honest, like, it's not 100% like a fair criticism on the player and the pick per se, because I mean, if they would have picked Josh Downs, I would have said I probably wouldn't have brought up the fact that they were going to underutilize him. But the fact is, any offensive position player they were going to take throughout the draft process, I think one of the criticisms is going to be is how Ken Dorsey's going to use them. I think that's, I don't know. I just think that would be picking scared at that point. So I don't think that's a great argument to combat the Kincaid pick now. So I like it a lot more than I did originally. And I liked it originally, but I enjoyed the ideas of what it could potentially mean for the Bills offense.
Yeah, I mean, like you guys mentioned, the Kelsey in him could emerge, and we're talking slot receiver. I mean, he could very well be our big slot guy. You know what I mean? He's got stickum on his gloves. He's performed very well through college just as a receiving tight end. And if you can actually use him and Dawson Knox, I mean, I think that's the key here. I truthfully, if Dorsey really incorporates them into the scheme, this pick is going to be one of the ones. And just seeing Jerry Jones pound his fist on the table when we jumped over him, I think that was good enough in itself as well. I saw that after the fact. Didn't see that. I think my mouth was just kind of open during the draft and just kind of like thinking for a minute, you know what I mean? Because like I was not, as much as I said tight end, I was not expecting them to actually pick a tight end. But no, I think Kincaid was a good pick. And now let's move to the second pick. My guy, O'Cyrus Torrence, the Florida Gator. Do a little chomp chomp. I know this guy, I was so excited to draft. He's just big muscle. He's got fast feet. Like this is what we need on the offensive line. And we now, I mean, Josh Allen had to have been smiling for this one too. As soon as we see this offensive line we even got, we'll talk later, but we drafted another lineman, I believe. So this is just another pick that helps the Bills offense. I mean, look at the Bengals game, the playoff game. That's where we saw the biggest offensive line holes. We couldn't do anything. Josh had less than a half second to even think. So I think that was the big consensus going into the offseason was, okay, we need protection. And this guy's 330 pounds of absolute just muscle. That's gonna, 1,500 snaps and one quarterback hit. Like, you got to be kidding me. Like, what a record on that. So I'm more than happy with O'Cyrus Torrence. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think, he was mocked, like, to us in the first round. He fell to us in the second round. Like, that's pretty good. Like, I think he could be definitely a day one starter because who else is our guards? Like, Ike Balker, Ryan Bates. Like, he could easily jump any one of them and be a starter.
Who's the one we picked up? We got one in free agency.
McGovern,
Connor McGovern. Yeah.
But
even David Edwards, I've cashed. You always.
Oh yeah, and David Edwards. but yeah, no, he's just a nice guard to have. I mean, like, we knew we had offensive line issues throughout the season, and I think he maybe solidifies that middle a little bit.
Yeah, I like the pick. I mean, I think the value's there. I think that's like a top 30, 35 guy that you get at the end of the second round. I do think it's interesting that I think with this draft and I guess this offseason in general, you're seeing a shift in philosophy in both sides of the ball. Like, O'Cyrus Torrence isn't like a dude that's like a super athlete that's kind of a small, twitchy guard that they kind of like. He's a big boy. He's going to be hard to move. I think he's kind of the guy that they thought, maybe Roger Saffold was going to bring maybe a little bit more of a guy that could move. He'd still be good in the pass protection, as you said, Joe. Some of his, college stats are pretty insane, but be able to move people in the run game that they've missed. I do think he's going to be a day one starter. I think him and McGovern will probably be the guard spots, and Bates will kind of be that center guard backup. And I think you can't, after this offseason, say they have not invested around Josh Allen. I mean, seeing that they drafted Kincaid in the first round, Torrence now, they signed the biggest deal that they did in free agency, they signed to a guard. They added Deontay Hardy. So I think
I forgot about that.
I'm telling you. Yeah. So I think the Bills have made very smart moves and Damien Harris. I mean, they've made very smart moves in upgrading in certain spots. It's not like they made big moves, but Damien Harris, I think, is comparable to Singletary. I think Hardy, honestly, is a better fit for the role of McKenzie was supposed to be. You think Shakir is going to take that next step. You think Gabe's going to take that next step in year two on the offense. Kincaid is a better tight end too than Quentin Morris. So, and then I think both guards that they signed and Torrence that they drafted are better than the two guards they had at the end of the year. It's just the biggest thing for this offense after the draft is right tackle is not been addressed really at all. I mean, they signed Quessenberry again. You have Spencer Brown. I mean, I guess we should start listening maybe more attention to their press conferences because they were big on Spencer Brown even at the end of last year. But I don't know. I just think that's a huge gamble to kind of have Spencer Brown be your right tackle going into next year.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people think he was in a sophomore slump. I think that's the term I've heard used quite a bit, but I don't necessarily. I'm walking on eggshells, I guess, to have him kind of stick around and whatnot. But I guess we'll have to see because that's where we saw a lot of pressure coming in, and there's Spencer Brown with the beer can. Look at that. I mean, got fined for it. What a fantastic picture,
Sorry for the
though.
ruckus of noise. There's in a drawer.
No, it's
Yeah,
okay.
that's level of respect you have from. I mean, listen, year one he was a raw prospect. Kind of expected that he would struggle. Year two, he didn't really have an offseason because he had back surgery. So I would assume that the Bills believe with a full offseason, you could kind of have that year three jump that, I mean, he has the tools kind of like Allen did. So maybe he has the ability to take that year three jump and be an above average right tackle. But I'm sorry, I'm not going to be optimistic. I'm going to be pretty pessimistic about the chances of that happening.
All right. So now we move to round 3, the third overall pick, or Bills' third overall pick, not the third overall pick. Number 91, Dorian Williams, linebacker. He's a undersized, explosive, speedy linebacker, and clearly a linebacker is a need coming off of the loss of Tremaine Edmonds. I mean, I like this. It was the one defensive pick, I want to say. Was there another one? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, there was.
What'd you say? The 6th pick, the last pick, right? Yeah. So I think it's a good move, and anyone that goes to show anybody who can complain about how the Bills never draft offense can just sit down, because Brandon Beane put together a pretty nice offensive draft. But back to Williams, I mean, he's going to be. I don't know if he's a day, like, I think you can mix him in, like, but I don't know if he can start day one. He had more than 130 tackles last season. I mean, he's just, if you put him with Matt Milano, I mean, anyone with Matt Milano, I feel like you're bound to, have some growth happen, but he's more of the undersized, speedy linebacker from what I can tell. But he rocks the backfield. I mean, he's quick. So, I mean, I like him.
He's undersized compared to Tremaine, who's a monster, but compared to like other elite middle linebackers, he's actually kind of like Raekwon Smith size. So it's not like he's super undersized. Again, as I said about the offense, changing philosophies, I think you see it with the defense. I think Beane was on a podcast the other day, and he was talking about how, for the Mike position, they wanted a guy that just shift from Tremaine to a guy that can maybe get off blocks a little better, be more impactful in the run game. And then, one of the weaknesses that Beane was talking about was sometimes when Tremaine got on like the shifty slot guys, and you're going to see that a lot in the NFL, is like teams love those shifty slot guys that could get open 4 yards and then run 5 yards for yak and get close down yardage. I did think Tremaine struggled a little bit with that, so I think they want a guy maybe a little bit more smaller, so it's easier for them to manage through blocks. Because I think that was the problem with Tremaine, is that he's so huge that it's kind of hard for a 6'5" dude to shoot the gap, but like the small gap. But if you're 6'1", it's a lot easier to shoot the gap. So I think that's what they're looking for. I don't know if he's the answer day one at Mike. I think there's a real chance you see Terrell Bernard now, the way they're talking about the Mike position, how they're kind of changing philosophies, and kind of with the Taylor Rapp signing. I mean, they're just. I'm excited for the defense, because I think the defense is going to change so much from last year to this year, where I think the offense, I think we're just going to see Dorsey Staples take over more over Daboll's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot, kind of like what you just said, like, he's going to be probably not a day one starter, but I want to say I saw something where they would practice him on inside and outside. Maybe I'm making that up, but I thought I saw that.
No,
somewhere.
he said that they told him to study both Mike and Will, I want to say.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think it'd be good to do that. I know McDermott loves those versatile players, whether it's on defense or his offensive line or wherever, really. I think he could develop. It seems like, just to me, there's something about him that he could develop into a solid linebacker. But like I said, I don't think he's a day one starter. Honestly, if I had to pick one right now, I'd say it's probably Tyrell Dodson. Yeah. Just because he has.
Okay. If you went to a different school than the school you went to, you saying that?
Yeah, because he actually has starts for Edmonds.
He
last
sucked.
year.
He was so bad last year, though. They
Well,
benched him for AJ
that's what I'm
Klein.
saying. Okay, that's what I said. But
And your opinion is valued here at the Buffalonian podcast, Mike. Even if it may be a little steamy, it is valued.
Anyway,
I
feel like by the end of the year he can be a solid starting linebacker for this team. I don't know like much about like his tape and all that. Like I'm sorry, I don't watch Tulane football, but I don't know. I just feel like there's something about him. I'm getting like the Matthias Samuelson vibe.
Oh my god,
that I said.
Well,
but,
Matthias Samuelson was a second-round pick, so.
Wow, second-round pick and a third-round pick. Honestly, a third-round pick in the NFL is probably more valuable than a second-round pick in the NHL.
That's true. Yeah, so, I mean, this is probably my least favorite value pick, just because of the unknown with the linebacker position. So I guess, is it fair to really criticize the pick? I don't know, because like it's the same thing of like being tight end bias for the Kincaid pick originally, but like I guess because we just truly do not know what they're going to do with that spot, how they're going to fill that void. I just find it bizarre that they kind of picked a tweener. Like they picked a guy that's really not a middle linebacker, but really could be an outside linebacker, and then you have Matt Milano. So I think it's an interesting pick because I think he does do a lot, and he can at least contribute on special teams every way. Because if you think about it, if Dobson or Bernard is the pick at that linebacker spot, I don't even know if I want to call it a Mike linebacker anymore, but if they're the pick at the linebacker spot, you have to think like those dudes contributed a lot on special teams, and they probably won't play that much special teams if they're starting on defense. So you need a guy that can replace out those special team snaps, and we all know how important the Bills believe in special teams.
Yeah, special teams are bust. But now we move on to pick number 150, Justin Shorter, wide receiver out of Florida. He's very excited to play here. I'm just going to start off with that. He already posted on Twitter an edit of him in a Bills jersey. And you see the Bills. I mean, they're saying one more target for QB1. So I'm liking the adding receiver depth we're having now, where hopefully they use more of them. Like I want to see Shakir used this season and whatnot. But like if the injury bug does happen to nip us again, like there are players other than Jake Kumerow who ended up hurt and Crowder who ended up hurt that can step in and do
Jake
something.
Kumerow still on our roster?
No, he's a free agent. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to request him over in New York. I think he might end up there, with the wish list and whatnot. I want Jake Kumerow back. He still loves him.
But yeah, no, I don't know. Shorter's he's 6'4". I think he's like 220 something pounds. So he's a big target for Josh to throw to. Use him as a deep threat. I think in college he had some issues with like contested balls at times, but I think overall, like he's someone that could develop into maybe like if Gabe Davis doesn't work out, he takes that spot next year. Like I could truly see that. Will he get a lot of reps and targets this year? Probably not, because he'll be behind Diggs, Davis, Hardy, hopefully Kincaid, Knox, Shakir. Sure, so maybe he doesn't get as many looks this year.
Is Crowder still on the roster this year?
No,
he's gone.
He was a 1-year deal.
I gotcha.
But yeah, no, like I think if we can utilize having that big target, because a lot of our receivers aren't that big, so I feel like he could be a really nice red zone target. Pair him with, Kincaid's big, give Allen those big targets to throw to. Maybe give him an end around every once in a while. Just barrel up the middle,
that out there,
up the edge.
I mean, this is a guy that was in the 2018 high school class was the number one receiver over Jamar Chase and Jalen Waddle. Like he had real talent coming out of high school, just never developed into the college game. So I think you're betting a little bit on the potential that this guy just struggled in college, but in the pros with a pro coaching, he could get to his potential. He's kind of like Trent Sherfield backup right now, like a dude that's going to be a good blocker coming in, could probably win like 20 yards down the field and with speed, but will not get I don't think he'll be able to get open in the first 20 yards of a route. Like he's one of those guys that's going to have to use his speed to accelerate past people. So I think that's the situation for Shorter, but it's an interesting pick if his potential cooks. I believe he was a good gunner in college as well. So if he could potentially get that spot opposite Saran Neal, then all of a sudden you don't have to have Taiwan Jones active on game days anymore. So I think that would be an interesting thing to look out for, because they're all about special teams. But I do have to say, I know we're going into the day 3 picks and it's going to go quicker. The absolute level of disrespect by Brandon Beane for this draft was freaking incredible to watch. I've never seen a GM. I've never. The only time I ever really saw this was when Jason Bauer traded a 7th round pick for a 7th round pick the next year. But that was weird because it was NHL. I've never seen a Bills GM ever just punt, and I really mean punt on a draft in day 3 like Brandon Beane did. He traded back this pick. I think they were 138. They traded back to 150 with Washington. They got an extra 6 from Washington. They traded that pick back to the 7th round. They traded their 6th round pick that they had back to the 7th round. And they really only picked 2 7th round players because, I guess it was like they didn't want to fight over those guys for undrafted free agency. But I don't know. I just think that's wild to me. I also think it's wild that they also potentially just got Houston's 6th round pick. What are they doing? That doesn't make why would Houston trade their 6th round pick next year in a better draft? That they traded what? I think the 205th pick. The Bills potentially trade up 40 spots in the next year's draft in a better draft class. That's just kind of insane to think about. It's just
like the movie Draft Day, except it's actually realistic.
It's just stupid. I'm sorry. I just don't Houston, man. I think they fumbled the bag. They got 2 really good players, but they also traded their 1st round pick, which has a potential chance to be the best, the number 1 overall pick. I just think they didn't know where they were in the rebuild, man. They're trash.
I don't think. They
Houston,
are
dude.
Houston punting's not too far out of character. So
the Cardinals have a sincere chance of getting the 1st pick, the 2nd pick, and then trading Kyler Murray.
You think they will trade Kyler Murray?
If they got the 1st pick, yes.
Yeah, it'd be crazy.
Mm-hmm.
They had to pay $70 million in dead cap though, because that contract.
Well, we see how he works with the new coach and figure it out from there. I feel like you gotta check it out. But now let's move on.
Maybe you should have played baseball.
Yeah, you could have played in Las Vegas now.
Yeah.
There's 2,000 fans at their last game. That's so sad.
Yeah.
Bison's games are probably drawing more.
They are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But now we move to pick number 230. No, we don't. Yeah, we do. I think that's the next one. Yes, it is. Sorry.
You're correct.
My little notes here. I scrolled
the
up
guard
and down and
from
lost
Ole
my
Miss.
place. The guard, Nick Broker from Ole Miss. Again, adding to the offensive line. And he's just a bigger guy, and he's got explosiveness and power. From what I've seen, after these picks, I kind of just Google search, did a quick little search in a YouTube reel or whatever, you know what I mean? And then, he's a bigger guy. He's got explosiveness off the line. Again, just adding to the offensive line depth where we've struggled so much. And for the past 2 seasons, we've been saying we need an offensive line to protect number 17 back there. So I'm happy about this. Brandon Beane, props to him on this draft because I definitely think it's an A draft. What do you guys think?
No, I think this pick is just adding depth and adding competition to the interior of the offensive line. Again, I really don't know much about him. I don't watch Ole Miss offensive lineman highlights, but it seems like he was graded high, that he could actually maybe make the team as a backup, maybe more likely practice squad player. I know in recent drafts the Bills have liked to draft offensive linemen late in the draft, between Tommy Doyle, blanking on the one guy's name.
Jack Anderson.
Yes, Jack Anderson. Thank you. Who got picked up by Philly, I think. Even you could say Wyatt Teller back many moons ago. But I don't know. So it's just something that add to competition. I know Beane loves that. We'll see. I know his path to the roster, the 53-man roster is probably slim, but you know what? Just it's nice to have guys in there that he'll probably be hungry to want to play as a 6th round pick prove everyone wrong. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of those guys that played left tackle in college, but they think is going to be guard at the next level. But is he one of those guys that could potentially take up one roster spot and be your third tackle and fourth guard or something like that?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
maybe what his potential is, but I don't think he's at it right now. I don't think he's going to challenge David Questenberry for the swing tackle position, and I don't think if we're doing it by. I don't think he's going to be able to challenge really David Edwards for the fourth guard position. So I think it's practice squad out of the way, but it seems to be like a decent pick. It was like a B kind of pick. So I mean, listen, in the 7th round, you're gonna get people that have potential to be on the practice squad for a little bit, and then maybe one day make an impact on your depths of your 50-team roster. Maybe never start. So yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, those guys like to get claimed though, so there's potential if he does well that it's not a good thing for the Bills.
Yeah. All right. So the final pick, the 252nd pick, Alex Austin, cornerback from Oregon State. Cornerback, I mean, again, definitely a depth need, I guess, when you think about it, because again, the injury bug last year really kind of showed everyone we need to have more than a couple people as backups here. Otherwise, we're going to have some issues. I mean, I didn't watch too much on him because, it was towards the end of the draft and whatnot. But from what I can see, I mean, he does best in a zone defense. That's kind of what people said in short areas. Like that was kind of the consensus, I guess. So, I mean, that's the defense the Bills like with Frazier. I don't know how much that's going to change with McDermott. But we shall see. I if they stick with zone, I guess that's a fit for him. But then again, is he starting on day one? Probably not, because I think we'd have to wait for, knocking on wood here, he would have to wait for injuries to happen to really kind of make a statement on the field. But what do you guys think?
Yeah, like I said, just adding competition during training camp.
Yeah.
Just adding depth and using, like Dom said earlier, probably a guy that maybe they feel like could have gone undrafted, but they just want to pick up so that they guarantee that they get him, rather than competing against the other 31 teams to try and sign him.
Yeah. I mean, he seems mostly like a practice squad player, but it's kind of Christian Benford 2.0 of a guy that has good ball skills, maybe converts to safety at one point. So just seems to be a guy that they're trying to take a shot on and see if, Benford was a 6th-round pick out of Villanova. So that was kind of a shot in the dark that he even make the roster, let alone start week 1. So I'm not saying he's going to start week 1, but there's maybe the dark horse chance that he, fights his way onto the team through special teams. Because again, Bills love them special teams.
Yeah. Well, I mean, those are the Bills draft picks. Again, overall consensus from PFF, I believe, was an A. I'm going to just keep rolling with that because I think it's an A. I mean, at the end of the day, I like it. I think Brandon Beane really, again, showed what he can do as our GM and, in the draft and get some players, solid players that can add depth and start on this team earlier in the first round. So, no, I'm happy with it. Overall, I mean, before we get more into the draft picks, I do want to, let's go into the more people the Bills are bringing on along with the draft picks. The other day, they signed Latavius Murray, running back, which good. Let's add more running backs just in case, right? Like that. And he's it was just to a 1-year deal, solid veteran running back presence you want to add. Great pickup. What do you guys think? I mean, he's pretty solid in his career, so I'm pretty happy with it.
I'll say 2 words on the signing: veteran leadership.
Mm-hmm.
Like I truly don't see I don't see him making this roster. Like I think Cook is a lock. I'd say Nyheim Hines is a lock.
And
Damien Harris. And then Taiwan Jones would be a special teamer. Like I don't see where he fits in. Like I don't see them keeping a 5th running back. Like I truly think he's just here for the training camp and preseason as a vet. I mean, he's like 33 years old. I know he had 700 yards last year for Denver, but I just don't see him being more than just the vet for these young guys because overall have a young running back room. So I think he's probably a good presence to have. I mean, I support all veteran signings in the offseason for training camp and preseason. And then parting ways.
Yeah, say sayonara for the season.
Yeah, I'll say this though. So Tyron Jones is actually unsigned, which I forgot about. But he's the points
Oh.
change was shorter. But I do
Either way,
think-
Latavius Murray's not playing no special teams.
well, no, he's not. But I think there's a chance he makes the roster if Damon Harris vomits on himself. I don't think Naheem Hines is a certified. I don't think Naheem Hines is a certified lock. Like I think there could be some stuff happening there too. So I like it. It adds competition. He's a power back. He still has juice as he showed last year. So why not? Like if he shows up in training camp and just kind of eats, like, all right. I mean, he's kind of a guy that you could also run with for like a month if injuries happen as well. So worst comes to worst, he goes on your practice squad. And you know, as you said, Michael, another veteran in the room for a relatively young running back room. So
yeah,
I like the move for depth purposes.
Yeah. The next
this pick is, but I think like signing Latavius Murray is better than spending a day 3 pick on a running back in my mind.
I would agree with that.
That's technically what the trade off was when being called his agent. He's like, well, they sign you or we'll draft someone. They're like, all right, we'll sign.
Well,
sweet.
I mean, that was a pretty good trade off. Yeah, what a nice guy. I mean, who wouldn't want to be a part of this organization, though? I mean, let's be real.
Poona Ford wants to be a part of this organization.
He does. Poona wants to. And that's, again, another big DT.
That's so encouraging still that, like, people want to still come here because they think they can win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's like,
0.
What'd you say?
I just wish he could have worn number 0.
That's our buddy Naheem.
He's had a big boy wear number 0.
No. Mike would lose.
I don't think DTs can wear.
Never
I
see
think
Mike
DTs
again.
don't have the luxury of wearing whatever number they want. I think it's just edge rushers and linebackers.
Imagine a big
beef
DT.
boys matter, man. Beef boys matter.
Dude, that man would be huge in a number 0.
Yeah, I mean, Mike. We probably never see Mike again if they allowed that to happen.
He's 5'11", like 310. I want to say this dude is a massive human being.
Yeah,
dude can fill in for when Daquan Jones if he needs a break or if he gets hurt or something. Because I feel like this team has always had like that one big run stuffing DT, and they never have another one. So they finally have that second one. Because I don't know if I trust Daquan Jones to play an entire year without getting hurt just because of his age. And then, I mean, Jordan Phillips is a big body, but like he's more of like a rushing DT who gets like one game where he'll get like 4 sacks and then he'll just be out with like a hamstring the rest of the season.
Dang.
So
expose him.
Yeah. Whoa. Mike coming in hot.
I mean, am I wrong?
No,
you're not wrong. Like the Bills have not had very good 1Ts. And then they got one Daquan Jones, and then you saw what happened when he missed that Bengals game. They just got freaking pounded because they didn't have a backup. Mm-hmm. They thought Tim Settle was going to be it, but Tim Settle was kind of a tweener. So getting a dude it's also interesting because he graded out really well in PFF for his first 4 years. Last year he struggled because Seattle switched to like a 3-4 defense, so he was a nose tackle. I don't think that worked out too well for him. But if they, going back to a 4-3, him playing the one tech, Duke can also he's a beef man against the run, but he could also push the pocket in the pass rush as well. So I don't know. I think this is an exciting possibility for both the pass and the run. And honestly, I think the concern after the draft was they didn't add anyone on the defensive line. I still would like them to sign a veteran edge rusher, but getting a big man in the middle, I think that the happiest person right now has to be at Oliver. I mean, contract year juices, and now you have 2 probably legit 1Ts, so it's not like he's on the field and Daquan comes out and it's Tim Settle who's not good in the role. And it's like, oh man, this sucks. No, you're gonna get the big man comes back. Just rotation of big men.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, you're gonna see him no matter what because that defense is like. It's like a piston in an engine. It's just churning and churning. Like they keep rotating in and out, in and out, in and out. So I think it's a great pick. I as much as we can do to beef up this defense, I'm all for it. I think we've got to get back to the point where, in the beginning of last season, before the injury bug, we were just, the pass rush was just 4 guys and we were breaking through like it was a blitz. I mean, we got to just get back to that. And with Von Miller being healthy, I think that'll be easier as well. But if we had a stacked defensive line and Von and Groot on the outside, I mean, come on, like unstoppable.
Well, I mean, I think they have very good edge run defenders, and they were very good defending the edges.
Mhm.
They were not. They were one of the worst teams in the NFL when people ran straight off
Straight up
guard on them.
Yeah.
So adding a big boy another guy that can eat up blocks and free up the defensive line around them to make plays up the middle. Also free up the linebackers. I mean, if you're gonna roll with Bernard and Milano or someone paired with Milano who's not undersized, but not as big as Tremaine and not, wouldn't consider them to be huge. Like having two of those type of like 6 foot linebackers that may be a little small, and also running Taron Johnson out there as the third linebacker being the slot corner, like having big boys that can eat up blocks and keep those guys clean. I think it would also be important for our boy Poona Ford.
Oh yeah.
No, and also, this is a good dude that's pretty young too. So I mean, I know it's a 1-year deal, but it's kind of the same situation with Taylor Rapp.
27. He'll turn 28 this year.
Yeah, he's a guy that if he does well, could potentially earn himself a second contract. But we'll see, because he took less money to come here, so maybe he wouldn't do that. But
yeah, I think he wants
the ring. He wants the hardware.
If he gets the hardware,
give it to him.
He might
give it to him
for more than one. So I think we got to prove it to him with the hardware. But just Dom, a quick question for you.
Oh, God.
You're in the market for a new jersey this year. Any players in the draft, or are you getting like a Poona Ford? Like anyone stand out to you?
Kincaid, come on.
Yeah,
I mean, getting the first round pick.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely am not getting Poona Ford because that's a 1-year contract. Definitely not getting Latavius Murray. Yeah, I think Kincaid. I don't know. I don't love the number 86. I think that's kind of a mid number. I'm not gonna lie. It's kind
of sick for tight end.
I don't know. Yeah,
No, it's not.
We both can wear tight end jerseys. I got Knox's. I got 88.
Better number. Knox.
What's the better number?
88.
Oh yeah.
That's what I'm saying. 86 is mid. It's mid. 87 is better than that.
Well, 87, you immediately think Gronkowski, Kelsey.
Who is 87 on our team?
It's a great question.
I don't think anyone. I don't think that number's taken. Let me do a quick research.
I just think he wanted. I don't know. I think Kincaid may be the pick, but I don't know. I get weary of picking rookies because Michael, my brother, got Epinesa. That didn't turn out too hot. But I don't know. The two jerseys I have, Shady McCoy and Tremaine Edmonds, were both Pro Bowl players with the Bills. So, I do have pretty good luck with jerseys. And, my Sabre jersey is my boy Jeff Skinner. Just had an 80-point season. So, I'm not a jersey jinx. So I do really carefully think this through if I want to elevate.
Yeah, no one is number 87, by the way. I did that. So I don't know why he didn't nab 87. I would. Come on.
Well, because he wore 86 in college. So
yeah. I guess I understand it. But
Spend
now
your own legacy with 86. Don't be these followers. All these quarterbacks that wear number 12. How original.
I mean, Aaron Rodgers switched his number.
Yeah,
even though Joe Namath gave him a prediction.
Really? Come on. Pick a different number than 12. So original. Tight ends, really. Gronkowski's 87. Kelsey's 87. Come on. 86. Legacy.
I think
stop it with 86. 86 is not a good number.
I think
stop trying to make 86 work.
I like 86.
Stop trying to make 86.
You could get him with the draft number, the number 1, and then his name on the back.
That's stupid. I'd rather get 86 than doing the draft.
If you don't want 86.
We all know who has the cleanest number on the roster, okay? Diggs at 14.
Times. What do you say?
He said Diggs at 14, and then you go Nyheim Hines, which is 0, and he just sat.
I don't know. I think Allen at 17 is pretty clean too.
Yeah.
I like James Cook at 28. 4 is gross.
All right.
4 is such like a
James Cook
kicker's number or something.
4 is now Taylor Hall's number, or 28 is now Taylor Hall's number, and then that's what switched James Cook.
Taylor Hall?
Why? Who am I thinking of? Who's the cornerback we picked up?
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
It's Hall, isn't it?
Taylor Hall is a hockey
Taylor
player.
Taylor Rapp.
Oh.
What am I thinking?
71.
Taylor Hall. He was number 4 with the Sabres. He's 71 in Boston.
Taylor Rapp.
Number 9 in New Jersey. Yeah. He's had
the corner from
set of numbers. Number
LA
4 for a winger. That's gross.
Oh my god.
Kind of gross. Honestly.
All right.
4 is such a defenseman's number.
We are going to now.
I kind of agree on that.
Yeah, that's gross for a forward.
I do have to kind of agree. I didn't think 1 through 4 it's kind of a defensive number. I agree.
Mhm.
I'm just
All
waiting
right.
for the day a skater wears number 1.
Good Lord.
Oh my god.
Is that even allowed? Like, can
I
the
don't
skater
know.
wear number 1 or number
I don't know.
30?
Why don't you look up the rules? Because you know him, so you care about him so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey.
All right. So now, fellas, looking at the draft, what would you say the best value pick the Bills made? I think I'd
Probably-
have to say
Probably
Osiris.
Torrance in the second round.
Yeah.
Torrance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that one's
Easy.
particularly close. I
No.
think Torrance is easy.
He was, yeah, like you said, mocked to us at 27, and then here he is in the second round. We grab him still. So,
Yeah.
the best overall pick for the Bills. What are we thinking?
I think Kincaid, just based on what he can
Kincaid based off
offer.
his talent.
Just
Yeah.
stealing.
I think how we could change how much of a difference maker he could make. Because the Bills had a really good offensive season compared like with a lot of statistics, but I don't know, it just felt like the Bills were kind of wonky. Like it always felt like they
Yeah.
would always get in, like weird spells where it was like really they're actually like it was I think the perfect example truly is the Minnesota Viking game
Mhm.
where at the end of it you see Josh threw for 300 yards and they ran the ball pretty well, but it was like they just didn't do anything in the fourth quarter until that last drive to kick that field goal. It was kind of like I don't know, that's one of those games where like they just had a lull. Same thing with the Browns game, like the first half of the Browns game was just
Oh my
terrible.
God, that was so bad.
It was low. I mean, the second half of the Detroit game was bad too. So I mean, the Bills had a lot of times where it was like they just cannot move the ball like in these like short passing games or whatever. And I think Dalton Kincaid will be a guy that you could just throw the ball and he'll get 4 yards. Like he'll be
Yeah.
open. He'll get tackled maybe, but it's a 4-yard gain. You'll stay on schedule. The Bills need to stay on schedule.
He's a bigger Cole Beasley, because that's what Bees used to be. He used to be that guy that would, get you the 4 yards you needed, like third. and
Beasley was
3.
reliable in his
Yeah.
prime with the Bills.
Yeah. So if Kincaid can kind of bring that
Better
reliability
hands with better hands.
with better hands, yeah.
Because Beasley's hands were a little sus sometimes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he had some bad drops.
Yeah.
He had some bad tip picks. Remember for the first
Mhm.
game when the CJ Mosley pick 6
Oh yeah,
and the Steeler game on Sunday Night Football where like they threw like a
Jeez.
20-yard post route to him and it went off his hands and the safety picked it.
Yeah.
Or how about another
Mhm.
example?
well,
Monday Night Football this year against the Bengals, a little
Mhm.
high and outside, 3rd and 3 goes off the hands. So I don't want to. I'm not trying to crap on Cole Beasley, but the dude's hands were Kincaid has
Questionable at
really
times.
good hands,
Yeah.
elite hands, they say. Maybe the
Yeah.
best in the
good.
draft.
Throw him in the slot. Throw
Yeah,
that guy over the middle.
seriously. I mean, that's what we needed. That's what we were missing last year.
I mean, I gotta get some tips from him. Not drop balls.
Mhm.
When I can
Yeah.
finally beat Michael.
Yeah,
Totally.
coming from the guy who says he can field an NFL punt.
Oh my God. I got as close to Matt Hawk as I could. All right. So, I mean, when we were practicing it, but now let's get the negative Nelly flowing. All right. Let's think here. What was your least favorite pick of the draft for the Bills? Like, who was like wanted to vom like when you heard the name? Not really. I don't think
There's
there was
no one
one
that was that bad,
but yeah.
the biggest one I'd say is probably Dorian Williams, just because like he kind of fits into those linebackers that we already have. Like
Yeah.
they're athletic, but like they're not. I mean, it's hard to replace Tremaine because he's like an athletic freak. He's just like as big as he was. Like it's hard to replicate with another player.
Mhm.
But I think just like there's no like we have Terrell Bernard, Tyrell Dodson, like AJ Klein. Like there's no one that's really like standing out that can take over as the starting middle linebacker. And like with Dorian Williams, it kind of just fits that mold of he can develop, but like he's not just a full-fledged starter.
Yeah. No,
Yeah, I would
have
agree
to
with that. I think that's my least favorite pick just because he's a tweener. You don't know his role, like, going to be on the defense. You know he's going to be a good special teamer. I don't know. I just feel like there could have been a better, like, to waste a top 100 pick on a linebacker that may not play and doesn't have an obvious shot on the roster even a couple years down the road. After you drafted, kind of the same, you did the same thing kind of last year. We'll see with Bernard in year 2. So I don't know. I just don't like back-to-back third-round picks kind of on linebackers that may not even – they're just kind of weirdly positioned on your team. So even if there wasn't a better player on the board, I probably would have even liked to see a trade down and get more value that way. But I think they were concerned with the run on linebackers in front of them that he was going to get nabbed.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Like
And I
the
mean,
run on wide receiver in the first round.
yeah, that was
Dude, that was that. Did you see that quote though? Like Bean was like, "Yeah, we didn't have first round grades on all those guys." I was like, "Dang!" I think
Wow.
I really truly believe that Kincaid was their second highest grade pass catcher behind Smith Jigba.
probably. I mean, it would make sense the way he was chatting about it, like you said. But I mean, you mentioned, day one impact, and I think just the pick that has the most day one impact on the roster is definitely Kincaid. I would have to say. I mean, yeah. As much as I want to say Torrance and guys on the O line, it's easily Kincaid if he's
Overall usage will probably be Torrance
yeah.
because I feel like Kincaid will probably get. I'm going to project his stat line here.
He'll probably get like 40 to 50 targets.
I think he's going to get like 30 catches for like 350 yards and like I'll stick with the theme of 3 and get 3 touchdowns.
Okay.
Yeah, I think day one, if Torrance gets the starting job, it's probably him because if he plays solid as a rookie guard, I think that's going to be really valuable. I think Kincaid has the greatest potential to have the biggest. He has the potential to have the biggest. But I think if you do like the high floor pick is Torrance if he gets the starting job. But the high ceiling pick for this one would be Kincaid. Because, who knows? Maybe he just goes off and goes like for 600, 700 yards and scores 8 tutties.
Yeah. I mean, you never know. I mean, I agree with that. I think that's kind of where the fork in the road was for me because I figured Torrance probably would get pending a day one start. He's going to be out there making more of a difference. But yeah, Kincaid definitely has the higher ceiling. But speaking like let's just chat more on that. How many draft picks make the opening night roster?
4.
I would say Kincaid.
Your
Torrance.
first 4 picks are making the roster.
Yeah. I would agree with that. Dom, what do you think? Going less or more?
3. I don't know. I think Shorter is like on the edge. I don't think he's going to be interesting because I think it's Diggs, Davis, Hardy, Shakir, Sherfield. I feel like I'm missing someone. Am I?
Diggs, Davis. No, I don't think so. Because Kumero's gone.
I gotta look this up. I definitely
Crowder's gone.
thinking on one more. I thought there was 6.
Well, you brought up the fact that he's he's a good gunner in college. Like maybe that gives him some value.
No. I feel like I'm blanking on a dude's name. It's making me mad. Let's see.
Diggs, Davis, Hardy.
No, I guess
Sherfield,
I guess I'm not. There's only.
Yeah, because McKenzie is gone.
Never mind. 4. I'll go 4. I think they're going to keep but honestly, I think they're going to keep 6 receivers, and I thought I was blanking on another person, but it's like Keyshawn Johnson and one of those guys. I think
they had some undrafted guy they signed. Reggie Wayne's cousin.
Right.
Reggie Wayne's cousin,
Travers or whatever. He's also apparently an elite gunner. So, I mean, there's potential where it's
in him.
There's potential where it's 3, but I think 4. I think he'll be the last receiver. Yeah.
Okay.
And then they signed an undrafted running back, Mims. They said was highly
could be Raheem Blackshear 2.0 apparently.
Yeah. Blackshear, honestly, the Bills have had some luck with those undrafted running backs just being actually decent.
Tony Williams.
Yeah, Tony Williams. Wasn't Carlos Williams undrafted? Or a late round pick?
I think he was a 6th round. Yeah.
Either way, he had that one season where his rookie year he was good, and he just came in overweight and just screwed himself. Mike Gillislee,
yes,
he actually
Matt Milano
for us. Milano, thanks for what was the trade? Oh no, it was for Gillislee. So thank you for that. Thank you, New England.
They got a 5th round comp pick that.
Yeah,
thank you, Bill. Thank you, William.
Yeah. Thanks, William. Belichick.
It was the first time since the 2000 Oakland Raiders that a team took a kicker and a punter in the same draft. New England Patriots.
They traded up for the kicker too.
Who in 2000? Quick trivia. Do you know who it was?
One of them, Sebastian Jankowski.
Seabass was one of them, a 1st round pick kicker.
And then wasn't it Shane Lecter?
Shane Lecter.
They were both good. I think weren't they
They
both
were.
all pros?
They were. They're both very good. They had him for a long
They were
time.
both actually pretty good.
Seabass was like a top 15. I'm pretty sure he was like the 11th overall pick or something. Seabass was a high pick for a kicker.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, overall, again, I give it an A. Dom, if you want to give your own grade, what would you give it?
A is too rich.
A's too rich?
I think A. I just think with the amount
B
of
plus.
I'd agree with that. I think it's like a B. B's probably too light. I'll give it B plus. I think quantity has to matter with your draft class a little bit. And as we just said, they have 4 guys that we think are going to make the roster right now. And I'm not saying the other guys can't have potential to make the roster down the road. And I think the guys that are going to be on the roster are going to have a pretty big impact, maybe day one. But I don't know. I just don't think you could go super, super high. I think they had good value. I think the fit on their picks are good. I think they improved their roster. I just can't give it higher than I can't get in that A tier because if you only have 6 picks and we think 33% of them aren't going to make the roster, and then 50% probably aren't going to. I doubt Shorter might get activated on game day. So half your picks are going to be guys that aren't even on the active roster. Williams is probably a backup, so that leaves 33% of your picks making actual contributions. When it sounds like really pessimistic in that, but overall I think it's a solid draft class. I think even the guys that may not make the roster, may not make an immediate day one impact, have futures down the road at the positions they drafted in.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
And they also seem to have hit on their first 2, their second round pick and their first round pick, which they've done a good job hitting on their first round pick, but they struggled with the second round picks recently. I think Torrance is going to be, I think he has potentially the best second round pick in, I guess, the Brandon Beane era, because 2017 doesn't count, so Dion doesn't count. But
yeah. No, you're right. I think so too.
Who would be the best second round pick in McDermott's and Beane's drafting? They didn't have one in 18.
Vanessa was 20.
Basham
21 was
21.
Basham.
Who was 19? Who am I blinking on?
Last year was who was last year?
James Cook.
Oh, James Cook.
Who was 19? Am I just blanking on who 19? I can't remember.
Who was our first round pick in 2019?
Ed Oliver.
Ed.
Hang on. 2019.
Well, was Motor a third? Wasn't Motor a third? So was Notch. That was that draft. Who was second? Oh, Bust, Cody Ford.
Oh, yeah, irrelevant.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's definitely someone not on the roster anymore.
Yep. Round 2 pick 38. Cody Ford out of Oklahoma.
Yeah. So I think he's facing. I think it's in the last 2 drafts. I think he's had his best second round pick. So
good job,
yeah.
Big Baller Bean.
Yep. Congratulations, Brandon Bean.
But
without further ado, that's going to end it for this Bills edition of the Buffalonian podcast. We'll be coming at you later this week with some Sabres. And then, of course, we have the Funky Friday Fun Times special episode every Friday with some Mike's Buffalo trivia on there. So be looking for that coming later this week. And without further ado, Dom, how do you always end these, buddy?
Go Bills, baby.
Go Bills.
Go 86.